I was buried in paperwork that morning, my eyes stinging from another sleepless night, numbers blurred, deadlines pressed. My whole world was reduced to a desk, a computer, and the suffocating weight of silence in that office. I moved too fast. My shoulder brushed someone. The cup tipped. Coffee? I muttered to myself, grabbing the paper cup like it was my lifeline. A splash. A gasp. Then her voice. Emily. Her white silk blouse was stained with my cheap office coffee. She froze, staring at the brown blotch spreading across her designer shirt like it was poison. You, she hissed. What the hell did you just do? I mean, so sorry, I stammered, fumbling for tissues. It was an accident. Her hand shot up, palm out, like my apology was filth. Donstedt, even breathe near me. My stomach dropped. Behind her, two of her friends, other interns who worshipped her every move, snickered. One whispered, classic, the other laughed outright. Emily, I didn't set mean to. I tried again. She cut me off with a smirk sharp enough to slice skin. Of course you didn't stet. People like you never mean to. But you such are all the same. Clumsy, desperate, replaceable. That word, replaceable. It landed like a knife in my chest. My mouth went dry. My hands shook. The room had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. Not one person said a word. Not even him. My boss. Her father. He was standing right there, coffee mug in hand, staring like he didn't see a thing. Nothing. Just the clink of his mug on his desk. I looked at him, silently begging for something. A nod. A word. A defense. The laughter returned, low, poisonous. Emily flicked her hair back. A queen dismissing a peasant. Honestly, Dad, she said loudly, making sure the entire office could hear. Why do we keep people like this around? Mistakes waiting to happen. It's Sep's pathetic. I wanted the floor to swallow me. I whispered. I still pay for the cleaning. Her laugh cut me deeper. Pay? With what? Your salary wouldn't even cover the button on this shirt. The words echoed. My face burned. My throat closed. I heard my own voice, thin and weak. I said I stepped sorry. She leaned in, her perfume suffocating. Her whisper was venom. Sorry doesn't stet. Change the fact that you suffer nothing here. You suffer just temporary. Her friends burst out laughing again, and she walked away, coffee dripping from her blouse like it was beneath her dignity to even notice. My boss didn't look at me, didn't say a word, he just followed his daughter silent, complicit. I stood there, humiliated, coffee-stained tissues in my trembling hands. The day dragged on, every minute a reminder of that word, replaceable. Every glance from my coworkers carried pity, or worse, agreement. In my tiny apartment, I sat on the edge of the bed, the walls pressed in on me. When the clock finally released me, I walked home in the rain, my shoes soaked, my clothes heavy, my dignity gone. Her words replayed, each time sharper, replaceable. Nothing. Temporary. I clenched my fists until my nails dug into my palms. I whispered to myself, one day she'll choke on that word. The anger burned hotter than the coffee I'd spilled. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. But in that moment something inside me shifted. The rage became resolve. The humiliation became fuel. And the seed of vengeance was planted. The office lights buzzed overhead. Same flicker, same stale air, same prison. But her word, Emily Sepp's word, never left me. Days bled into weeks. My life became routine. Breathe, work, repeat. It echoed in my head every time I turned on my computer. Every time I stapled reports no one would read. Every time my ideas vanished into someone else's mouth in the boardroom. Replaceable. I told myself to forget, to move on, but I couldn't. Late at night, while typing another pointless report, I'd hear her voice again. Temporary. Nothing. And then my mother Sepp's voice would surface, softer, almost pleading. You stir worth more than the world lets you believe. I clenched my jaw. Was I? One evening, after I stayed past midnight, I overheard them. Two coworkers stood near the printer, whispering. Honestly, if he keeps working this hard, Sepp's going to burn out. Good. Less competition for us. A chuckle. Then silence as they noticed me watching. Hey, one of them said quickly, forcing a smile. Late night again, you such a team player. Team player. I stared at him. Funny. I don't still remember the team thanking me when my idea saved the Johnson pitch last week. He shrugged, eyes sliding away. Management doesn't care who thought of it. They care who presented it. The other added with a smirk, and that wasn't you. Their laughter followed them out the door. I stood frozen, my chest tight. The next morning, Emily strutted through the office like a storm cloud dressed in silk. She passed my desk without looking at me, but I still felt the weight of her presence. Her friends trailed behind her, giggling. One of them muttered, "Coffee boy." My fists tightened on the keyboard. I wanted to scream, to throw it all in their faces, but I didn't. I typed. I worked. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat. Invisible chains. Every keystroke felt like another shackle. Every fake smile from my colleagues, another lock. At first, it was just scribbles on napkins during my lunch break, then full pages in a cheap notebook I bought on the way home. So I began writing. Every betrayal. Every insult. Every stolen idea. I wrote it all down. "Why are you doing this?" I whispered to myself one night, staring at the messy ink. The silence answered back, "Because no one else will remember, no one else cares." "No, Dad, he's not important, just some guy in the background. Honestly, you could fire him tomorrow and nobody would notice." One afternoon, as I walked past the break room, I overheard Emily again. She was on the phone, her voice sharp. Her words hit me harder than I expected. Not because they were new, because they weren't set. They were confirmation. That was who I was to them. Background noise. Replaceable. I sat at my desk that night, long after everyone had left. My computer screen glowed, my reflection staring back at me, hollow eyes. I whispered to the empty room, "Am I really nothing? Is this it? My life?" For a moment I thought of quitting, walking out, leaving it all behind. But then I thought of my mother again, her tired hands holding mine when I was a child, her voice, steady despite the storms around her. "You star worth more than the world lets you believe." Not plans. Not yet. A tear slid down my cheek. I pressed my pen to paper, my journal filled with rage, pain, betrayal. But seeds. A storm brewing on the page. A storm no one else could see. The next day, I walked into the office with the same empty face. My coworkers greeted me with fake smiles. Emily sneered when I passed. My boss ignored me, like always. Nothing had changed. But inside, everything was shifting. Every insult chained me tighter. Every stolen idea pressed me down further. And with every chain, every weight, the storm inside me grew louder. One day I thought, one day they saw no. For now, I kept my head down. I worked. I obeyed. On the outside, I was still their ghost. But in my notebook, I was becoming something else. Not replaceable. The gala was supposed to be the night I finally stopped being invisible. Not temporary. Something dangerous. I practiced my lines until my tongue bled. I rehearsed the slides until they were perfect. I carried the printed deck like it was a map out of this life. "Tonight's the night," I told myself in the bathroom mirror. No messing up. The ballroom glittered, chandelier light carved diamonds into the crowd. Suits, smiles, champagne clinks. "You look nervous," a colleague said, voice low. "Just excited," I lied. Backstage, the air buzzed. I handed my laptop to the AV tech. My hands didn't shake. I told myself they didn't. "Presentation in 10, someone announced. I walked out. Emily was already on stage, slipping into the spotlight like she'd been born there. I waited in the wings. The cue came. My slides lit the screen. My voice found the room. Halfway through, a light hit the stage and I saw her, Emily, walking up the steps as if she owned them. "And with this strategy, we projected a 40% increase in quarterly revenue," I said. She moved to the microphone. "I'd like to add something," she said, smiling like a predator. The crowd leaned in. My mouth went dry. She smiled at me. Actually, that was all his work. But I say it better. She repeated my points. Better phrased, warmer tone. The board nodded. Investors applauded. When she finished, the applause roared. My boss stood and clapped first, eyes wet with pride at her. After, congratulations circled her. People praised her insight. I held the applause like a drowning man holds air that isn't his. She seps a natural, someone said. She must have prepared all week, another added. I slid through the crowd like a ghost. Someone bumped me. No one said sorry. During the awards, the chairman raised his glass. Emily took the mic. I couldn't have done it without my team, she said, glancing at me with a smirk. But some people are replaceable. To talent, he said. To those who carry us forward. Laughter, champagne, my chest tightened. Ruthless, effective. A board member whispered, she seps ruthless, but effective. I nearly stepped back on stage when a board member winked at her and said loudly, talent like that is rare. I left. I forced a smile and breathed, thank you, though the word felt foreign in my mouth. I kept my face blank. I said nothing. After she walked away, a woman from legal tapped my shoulder. Excellent work tonight, she mouthed. Later Emily leaned close and said, soft enough for only me, you should learn to take a compliment. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to hold on to it, but the room had already appointed someone else as the face. I pressed my palms to my eyes and promised, under my breath, this isn't the end. Outside, the cold hit me like truth. The night smelled of rain and perfume. I pressed my back to the wall and tried not to cry. Proud, for her. No, I told myself. Not in front of them. My phone buzzed. A text from my boss. Excellent showing tonight, proud of our team. I typed and deleted until my thumbs ached. I typed, you know the truth, then deleted it. I walked home. Every step hammered in my skull. The city blurred. Inside, something snapped. Not glass, more like a seal opening. At my apartment, my deck sat on the table. The evidence of my work waited, patient and precise. I poured whiskey I couldn't afford and drank until my hands shook. You did it, I told myself. You earned that client. I thought of my mother, her hands rough from years of work, the way she'd smile at anything hopeful. I sep and not replaceable, I whispered. A plan formed, not a full blueprint, but a direction, small, quiet levers. I would not scream. I would be deliberate. I whispered into the night. One day you shall choke on those words. Revenge stopped being a fantasy. It became patient. A promise. I folded the page, pressed my forehead to it, and felt something settled, cold and steady. I slid my deck into a folder, locked my laptop and opened my notebook. I wrote the first line like a starting gun. Tonight they saw her. Tomorrow they one set be able to ignore me. When morning came, I woke with a new name for myself. The spark had become a small controlled fire. Not victim, not ghost. Operator. I started small. Begin. No nights out. No wasted meals. Every penny was a weapon I refused to dull. At lunch, while others ordered takeout, I ate bread and boiled eggs. My coworkers laughed. Man, you saving for a yacht, one joked. I smiled. Something like that. At night, my room glowed with a different kind of fire. My laptop screen became my classroom. They didn't know. They didn't need to. Business models, investment strategies, real estate basics. I devoured them all. I whispered to myself, knowledge is leverage, and leverage is power. Every page I read, every number I calculated, it wasn't just study, it was sharpening a blade. During the day, I learned something else. The power of invisibility. Emily only saw who she wanted to see. Executives, board members, investors, never the janitor, never the IT guy, never the interns. But I saw them. Rough day? I asked the janitor one night as he emptied my trash. He laughed bitterly. Every day, Sep's rough when your boss Sep's daughter spills champagne on the carpet and tells you to clean it up. Twice. Twice? I asked. First time it was an accident, he said. Second time, I Sep not so sure. With the IT guy, it was easier. I filed that away. System keeps crashing whenever she uses it, he muttered one morning. Why? I asked. Because she downloads games on company machines, and then blames me when the network slows. He smirked. Her dad? He supped cover the sun for her if she asked. I leaned closer. Does your boss know? We shared a look. I didn't need to say more, neither did he. The interns were the most talkative. Another whispered, she almost lost a client last month, blew the budget on some luxury nonsense. Her dad covered it up. She doesn't set red reports, one told me. eyes darting nervously. She just takes them, changes the fonts, and calls them her own. But inside I was smiling. I nodded, careful to look disinterested. Thanks for the warning. Every secret was a brick. Every whisper, mortar. I was building something no one could see. Meanwhile, I worked nights, freelance projects, online gigs, anything that paid. I grinned through the screen. Sleep is for people who already have what they want. One client asked me, "Do you ever sleep?" The extra income piled up, small but steady, enough to do something I'd dreamed of for years. One rainy afternoon, I signed the papers for a tiny property. Nothing glamorous, just 4 walls and a roof. But it was mine. The agent smiled. "Congratulations." I shook his hand, my heart pounding. "Thanks." When I stepped outside, the rain soaked me, but I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt untouchable. Back at the office, Emily still mocked me. She strolled by my desk one morning, sipping her overpriced latte. "Still here?" I sipped and think you stepped quit by now. Dawn said you want more. I looked up at her slowly. "Oh, I want more." She smirked. "Good luck with that." I smiled back. Not bitter, not broken, just patient. "Thanks. I one set need luck." Her brows furrowed for half a second before she walked away. That second was mine. Each time she laughed at me, I smiled. Each time she dismissed me, I wrote another note in my journal. Not revenge plans. Not yet. Just reminders. She's reckless. She's blind. She thinks she's untouchable. But every empire built on arrogance has cracks. And I had the map. "You work too much," he said. One evening, the janitor caught me staying late again. I smiled, folding my jacket over my arm, for when they finally underestimate the wrong person. I closed my notebook slowly. Not work. Preparation. He frowned. "Preparation for what?" He chuckled, shaking his head. "I don't set know what you such planning, but I hope I step 'em around to see it." "You will," I told him. That night, as I locked my apartment door, I caught my reflection in the glass. Not the tired, replaceable ghost Emily saw. I whispered to myself, "This is instead the end of the story. It's Stet's the beginning." But someone sharper, stronger, dangerous. For the first time, I did instead feel chained. I felt free. And every step I took outside that office wasn't just survival anymore. It was war. Success has a strange smell, sweet enough to attract, sharp enough to warn. Silent, patient war. At first, it was small things. A few extra greetings in the hallway. People who used to laugh at my cheap lunches suddenly asked to sit with me. I looked at him carefully. He'd mocked my sandwiches a year ago. "Mind if I join you?" one coworker asked, sliding into the seat across from me. "Sure," I said flatly. He smiled too wide. "I said been hearing you start doing well outside the office." I sipped water, hiding my reaction. "Who told you that?" He chuckled nervously. "Word gets around." Word. That meant gossip. And gossip was dangerous. Another coworker cornered me near the printer. "Listen," she whispered. "I could use extra income too. Maybe you could point me to what you said you're doing." I stared at her. "Why?" She smirked. "Because you're not invisible anymore, and people notice." But not everyone came with smiles. I didn't instead answer. Silence was safer than trust. One evening, I opened my laptop to find a client had canceled. No warning, just gone. I called. "What happened?" "Warning?" I repeated. The client sighed. "We got an email, warning us about you." My pulse spiked. "Who sent it?" "Yeah, said you were unreliable, that you had conflicts of interest." The client hesitated. "Anonymous. But someone from your company, I think." I closed the call slowly, my jaw clenched. Envy had a voice, and it was inside my walls. Meanwhile, Emily spun further into chaos. One morning, the IT guy leaned close to my desk. "She crashed her third car this year. Daddy bought her another." Another day, the janitor muttered, "She made an intern cry for bringing the wrong coffee," in front of everyone. Every story I heard painted the same picture, recklessness dressed as royalty. I listened, I nodded, and I wrote everything down. But the mask slipped further at a client dinner. We sat at a long table, crystal glasses sparkling under dim light. I was 2 seats away from her. The loyal colleague, James, presented the pitch. Solid work, months of effort. When James finished, she laughed. Loud, cruel. Emily leaned back, swirling her wine. That seps it, she said, smirking at the clients. This is what we bring to the table? Amateur hour? James froze. Emily, the numbers. She waved him off. Numbers are for accountants. Clients want vision. One of the clients frowned. We liked the numbers. Emily rolled her eyes. Well, if you enjoy mediocrity, that Sepp's your choice. Silence hit the table like a brick. James Sepp's face turned red. He stammered, with respect. He stammered, with respect, I. The clients exchanged looks. Their lead stood tossing his napkin down. She cut him again. Respect. Earn it first. I think we Sepped are done here. They walked out. Just like that, a major account. Gone. James sat frozen. Emily sipped her wine like nothing happened. Her father cleared his throat, forcing a smile. We'll fix this, no problem. But the whispers started that night. She lost the account herself. Did you hear what she said? Reckless. Dangerous. For the first time, I wasn't the one people whispered about. She was. Later in the parking lot, I caught James leaning against his car, shoulders shaking. He wiped his eyes fast. I gave everything to that pitch, everything, and she humiliated me like I was trash. You okay? I asked quietly. She did, I said. He shook his head. Why does she still win? Why does she always get away with it? I looked at him, my voice steady. She won Stet. Not forever. He gave a bitter laugh. You sound like you believe that. I met his eyes. I do. For a moment he searched my face. Maybe he saw the storm underneath. Maybe not. Be careful, he whispered. People like her, they don't set just fall, they drag others down with them. I know, I said. That Sepp's why I once be standing under her when she does. Back inside, I passed Emily in the hall. She smirked. Rough night for your little friend, she said. My fists clenched. He's Sepp's not trash. She laughed. Everyone sits trash, except me. I smiled, calm, cold. Then maybe one day, you'll choke on the garbage Yusef created. Her smile faltered, just a flicker, but I caught it. That flicker kept me alive. That night, I sat in my apartment, journal open. I wrote one line, slow and deliberate. The empire is cracking, the masks are falling, and I'll be there when it all burns. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was waiting. And Emily, arrogant, reckless Emily, was helping me more than she knew. I felt like I was preparing. Every insult, every failure, every humiliation she threw at others. They weren't just mistakes. They were weapons. And I was ready to use them. Patience my shield. Silence became my weapon. And every move I made was another nail in Emily's golden coffin. At lunch one day, the janitor whispered as he cleaned near my desk. It started small. Quiet transactions. No one noticed. You hear about the catering company? Emily owes them 6 months. I leaned closer. How much? Too much, he muttered. They stepped her ready to walk. That night, I found the debt, and I bought it. Cheap. Hidden through a shell name. The next morning, she laughed in the hallway like nothing could touch her. I smiled too, because she had no idea I already owned the ground beneath her feet. The IT guy pulled me aside in the break room. I kept my face blank. Downtown, huh? You didn't hear this from me, but Emily Sepp's company is desperate for office space downtown. Lease expires next quarter. That evening, I walked through the very building she wanted. High ceilings, floor-to-ceiling windows. I didn't gawk, I calculated. By morning I had paperwork drafted. Not in my name, not even close. He nodded. She wants prestige. Her father wants cheaper. They supped her clashing. I kept my eyes on my computer. Silent. Invisible. Weeks later, Emily stormed through the office, slamming her phone down. Who the hell leased the place before us? She barked. But inside, my chest burned with victory. My allies were shadows. Opportunities fed themselves to me. A supplier unpaid. A contractor insulted. Each one, I reached quietly. Bought cheaply. Controlled completely. The janitor leaving me a folded note near the vending machine. Check invoice 342. The IT guy murmuring, "Don't let anyone know I told you this." The intern slipping me a file by mistake. I didn't promise them riches, I promised respect, and they gave me secrets. Emily Sepp's arrogance blinded her. At a staff meeting, she slammed her hand on the table. She cut him down. Strategy, don't talk to me about strategy. Just fix it. Why can anyone get me results? We such are bleeding deals, you such are all incompetent. James, still wounded from before, said carefully, maybe if we adjusted our strategy. Her father rubbed his temples. Emily, she snapped. Don't start. I know what I stem doing. I watched her. Not with anger, not with fear, with the cold detachment of someone who already set the trap. I overheard her screaming in her office. This makes no sense. We had that deal secured. One Friday, she lost another contract. A major one. Her assistant whispered. They said another buyer came in. Cheaper, faster. Emily Sepp's voice cracked. Who? Who is it? No answer. Because the name wasn't mine. It never would be. I'd built layers between me and every move. She was fighting a ghost. Weeks turned to months. My portfolio grew. Rentals, contracts, debts, all tied to her world, choking it slowly. And yet she laughed louder at parties. Posted pictures of champagne bottles, flaunted new cars. But her father's face told the truth. Exhausted, frustrated, embarrassed. I passed him once in the lobby. He sighed heavily, muttering to no one. When will she learn? I kept walking, heart steady. He didn't know it yet, but his patience was running out. One night James called me. His voice was low. Emily blamed me again. Said the client left because of my incompetence. I gritted my teeth. That wasn't your fault.